And now, for the moment I've all been waiting for.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most amazing celebrity comeback stories, even if those stars later faced further controversy or had setbacks.
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
Number 30, Elton John. It seemed there was no stopping Elton John in the 1970s.
Hold me closer, tiny dancer.
With massive sellers like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road and Captain Fantastic, he was the coolest dude on earth.
Sweet chocolate biscuits.
But by the late 70s, the pressures of worldwide fame had gotten to him, and he was dealing with substance use disorder as well as an eating disorder. According to him, his general lifestyle was over the top in a way that was unsustainable.
I didn't confront the real problem in my life was that I was a drug addict. I thought getting married would change all the unhappiness that the drug addiction brought me.
Though he didn't ever completely fade, problems in his personal life seemingly affected his musical career, and John didn't have a single Billboard Top 10 album in the 1980s. Luckily, he stopped using substances at the turn of the 90s and enjoyed a prosperous comeback, which was surely helped by The Lion King.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Number 29, Shania Twain. You may be asking yourself, whatever happened to Shania Twain?
Let's go, girls.
This Canadian singer was everywhere in the mid-90s, capturing hearts and ears with her distinct blend of country and pop. The Woman in Me was a huge hit, and 1997's Come On Over is the highest-selling album ever by a female solo artist.
You're still the one I kissed goodnight.
Legit, it's in the Guinness World Records. But she completely disappeared in the mid-2000s, having entered an indefinite hiatus. It wasn't until much later that Twain revealed she had Lyme disease, and that it had left her voice hoarse. She underwent vocal rehabilitation and returned to mainstream prominence in 2012 with a Vegas residency. She has continued to build her career through things like albums, more residencies, and tours.
Life's about joy, life's about pain. It's all about forgiving and the will to walk away.
Number 28, Robin Wright. The comeback of Robin Wright was so extensive and successful that some people may not know about her earlier accomplishments. Wright was a fairly big star in the 80s and early 90s, starring on the soap opera Santa Barbara and appearing in all-time movies like The Princess Bride and Forrest Gump.
I can't help it. I love you.
Forrest, you don't know what love is.
But then her career sort of just stalled, and most of the public attention centered around her rocky marriage to Sean Penn. Luckily, she eventually bounced back and became arguably even more successful than before. Wright notably earned massive acclaim as Claire Underwood on House of Cards, earning 6 acting Emmy nominations and becoming one of the highest-paid actresses on TV.
Francis, I'm done with you.
Number 27, Eddie Murphy. It doesn't get much bigger than Eddie Murphy, an undeniable legend. Murphy enjoyed enormous success throughout the 80s and 90s, being one of the biggest stars on the planet.
Oh, thank you. Look at this. It's great now. Thank you, guys.
But that all collapsed in the late 90s and early 2000s when he made a number of curious career decisions. There were certainly some gold nuggets in the mud, Hello, Shrek movies, and Dreamgirls, but he wasn't the box office draw he once was, with many of his films underperforming or even outright bombing. Luckily, Murphy eventually rebounded with the critically acclaimed Dolomite Is My Name.
I just want to say to all you Bahari brothers that I am ecstatic. And anything y'all want me to do, man, whatever it takes to make this record go up the charts, I'm ready to do it.
And his hosting of SNL in 2019 drew its biggest TV crowd in over 10 years and won him an Emmy. We don't think he'll fall off anyone's radar again. Number 26, Martha Stewart. For many celebrities, it's almost impossible to come back from a jail stint. Back in 2004, businesswoman Martha Stewart was convicted in an insider trading case and spent 5 months in prison.
Stewart will have to steel herself for a life of bunk beds, shared showers and toilets, a rigid 6 a.m. wake-up bell, a daily prison job, and no privacy.
But it didn't take long for the comeback to begin. Stewart basically got back to work the second her feet touched the parking lot, and her company was again profitable by 2006, just 2 years after her initial conviction.
One good thing about me, Dave, is that I don't have a long memory for bad things.
She also started The Martha Stewart Show the same year she was released, and it was nominated for 6 Daytime Emmy Awards, including Best Host. The strong work has only continued, and Stewart's resurgence will be taught in comeback school. That's a thing, right?
I want other women, especially women, to feel that they could also be on the cover of Sports Illustrated issue.
Number 25, Ryan Reynolds. You wouldn't know it now, but Ryan Reynolds was struggling for a while there.
And we had some good times. Good times that I'll never forget.
His career throughout the 2000s and early 2010s wasn't all bad, but it was still plagued by arguably mediocre rom-coms and box office bombs.
Welcome to the Honeycomb Hideout. How do you bankroll this operation? I date a lot of older men.
By now, it's been well established that his attempt at the Green Lantern was the stuff of infamous movie legend.
Now pay attention. Green!
It wasn't until 2016 that Reynolds really turned his career around, and it was thanks to a little superhero flick called Deadpool. This role was basically tailor-made for the comedic actor, and his performance was widely acclaimed.
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
Grossing nearly $800 million, it made Reynolds a bona fide movie star, and he has never looked back.
Hey, it's me. Don't scratch. Just cleaning up the timelines.
Number 24, Rob Lowe. The 80s belonged to Rob Lowe. The actor earned renown as a member of the Brat Pack, with roles in The Outsiders and St. Elmo's Fire, among others.
Geez, Soda, why does he always gotta be like that?
He's just got more worries than he used to.
But his career took a hit in 1988 when footage leaked showing him being intimate with 2 people. One of them was a teen, though she was above the age of consent in Georgia where the event took place.
I'd say I have nobody to blame but myself. You know, I really don't.
It tarnished Lowe's reputation, and it would be a while before he regained true cultural prominence. But it was a factor in his choice to get started on the path towards recovery. His comeback truly began in 1999 with an Emmy-nominated stint on The West Wing. He'd later go on to star in beloved projects like Parks and Recreation.
Auditing, bro!
Number 23, Mandy Moore. You couldn't escape Moore in the late 90s, early 2000s. And why would you have wanted to? She was a successful singer, with hit singles like Candy and the platinum-selling album So Real. She also made a splash on the big screen, notably appearing as Lana Thomas in The Princess Diaries before landing the starring role in A Walk to Remember.
It's a to-do list I have, except for my life.
What, like getting a new personality?
Spend a year in the Peace Corps, make a medical discovery.
That's ambitious.
Then she kind of disappeared. Most of her music wasn't hitting, and the movies grew increasingly obscure.
I am filled with Christ's love. God, you are just jealous of my success in the Lord.
But then, Disney made the inspired choice to cast Moore as Rapunzel, and the rest is history.
What do you want with my hair? To cut it?
What?
Sell it?
No! Listen, the only thing I want to do with your hair is to get out of it. Literally.
Tangled revived her career, and Moore did more voice acting work before killing it as Rebecca Pearson on the massive NBC drama This Is Us. She's also been releasing music. Number 22, Mickey Rourke. Few actors come back from retirement with such pizzazz. But then, Mickey Rourke isn't just any actor. After a string of successful 80s films, Rourke fell upon hard times.
I often think of the nights that we spent together. I mean, that was a long time ago.
His movies were bombing and earning harsh reviews. Directors were publicly calling him, quote, a nightmare to work with. And he earned a Razzie nomination for Desperate Hours and Wild Orchid. The relentless disappointment caused Rourke to essentially retire, and he briefly pursued a career in professional boxing. He'd come back to the silver screen in the 90s, but it wasn't until 2005 that he returned to widespread prominence as Marv in Sin City.
I haven't seen you like this in a while.
Had a fight with some cops.
Didn't happen to kill any of them, did you?
Not that I know of, but they know they've been in a fight, that's for damn sure.
He used this acclaimed role as a springboard into mainstream fare and earned his first Oscar nomination for 2008's The Wrestler.
I'm the one who was supposed to make everything okay for everybody. But it just didn't work out like that.
Number 21, Christian Slater. Appearing in the likes of Heathers and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Christian Slater was a huge heartthrob in the late 80s into the 90s.
I'm basically a pretty resourceful guy. If I didn't really need it, I wouldn't ask. I mean, if you want to say no, then fine.
However, a string of personal problems put his career on hold. Slater dealt with various substance use and legal issues. For instance, he was arrested in 1994 for attempting to bring a weapon onto a plane, and he later spent time in jail for assaulting his then-girlfriend and a responding police officer. The work continued, but it was nothing to the caliber of his early 90s output. That is, until he landed the role of Mr. Robot on the acclaimed thriller of the same name. The role earned Slater much renown, and even his first Golden Globe.
You think people out there are getting exactly what they deserve? No. They're getting paid over or under, but someone in the chain always gets bamboozled.
Number 20, Dave Chappelle. In the early mid-aughts, this comedian's career couldn't have been any bigger. He was one of the most recognizable names in stand-up, and his Comedy Central series Chappelle Show was a massive success.
If you're just joining us, black people got their reparations checks today, and in short, all hell is broken loose.
He'd reportedly been offered a $50 million contract to keep the series going. But the fame seemingly got to Chappelle, specifically the cultural impact of his show. So, at the height of his popularity, he abandoned production of season 3 and went to South Africa. Between 2005 and 2013, his public appearances were sporadic at best.
You know, when you're a guy that generates money, people have a vested interest in controlling.
His long-awaited return could have been a disaster, but he pulled it off with style, winning an Emmy for an SNL hosting gig and signing a massive deal with Netflix. However, Chappelle would go on to make several transphobic remarks that soured his comeback for some fans.
The article goes on to say I was booed off stage, which is also incorrect. I was booed. I did not leave.
Number 19, Betty White. What other late star who reached her age can claim comparable popularity with younger demographics?
What a day. One sad person after another.
Rose, you work at grief counseling. What do you expect, comedians?
Betty White had a successful career spanning decades, including roles in popular television series such as The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Golden Girls. With time, her roles became not only less high profile, but also fewer and farther between. When most actors would have been happy to retire, however, Betty White began a whole new phase of her career in the late aughts.
Oh, come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said. Baby!
She appeared in sketches for Craig Ferguson and Jay Leno, but it was a 2009 Snickers campaign that really connected White to a whole new generation.
When I was younger, I was so concerned with how my muffin looked. But as I got older, I started to think, to heck with it. This is my muffin, and I don't care how it looks.
White hosted SNL at the record-breaking age of 88, establishing herself as a beloved comedic figure anew. Number 18, D'Angelo. Young listeners might not recognize the name, but in the mid-90s, D'Angelo was widely considered the gold standard of R&B, and he's been a major influence on countless musicians in the years since. With his 1995 debut album Brown Sugar, he not only rocked the charts, but instantly became a sex symbol. His 2000 follow-up Voodoo seemingly solidified this reputation. Then he just disappeared. D'Angelo retreated from the public eye to deal with personal issues, including alcohol use disorder. Few artists can return after nearly a decade and a half and still feel relevant, but in 2014, he reclaimed his crown with Black Messiah, which was released to universal acclaim and earned him the Grammy for Best R&B Album. Number 17, Kesha. After being robbed of her voice as both a woman and an artist, Kesha revealed an entirely different side to herself. She exploded onto the pop music scene with a feature on Flo Rida's Right Round before landing hits of her own, including TikTok. However, her career was brought to a screeching halt in 2014 by a legal battle with producer Dr. Luke, whom she accused of abuse, among other things. Many artists would have given up, but Kesha found alternative ways to perform, and eventually returned in 2017 with the widely celebrated Rainbow, a deeply personal album about empowerment. She's since continued to release albums, settled the suit with Dr. Luke, and is working on new music after leaving his label and changing her management. Number 16, Eminem. There are few musicians who've had a bigger impact on popular music than Eminem. His lyrics terrified parents, his personal style inspired countless imitators, and many credit him with having made hip-hop more mainstream in Middle America.
Come on, man, you gotta battle.
See, I'm not you, dog. Look at me.
Oh, and he starred in a critically acclaimed semi-autobiographical film because, why not? But in the mid-aughts, he was dealing with substance use, depression, and the death of his best friend, Proof. His comeback album Relapse was met with mixed reviews, but he's just kept marching forward, repeatedly reasserting his dominance as both a hitmaker and one of the greatest rappers to ever pick up a mic. He's continued to take home Grammys, produce hit singles, and divide critics and fans alike. Number 15, Jason Bateman.
Would you care to accompany me on an inspection tour of Old Faithful this weekend? I'd very much enjoy visiting a scenic wonder with a scenic wonder.
A former adolescent star that earned roles in shows like Silver Spoons, Jason Bateman went on to star in films like Teen Wolf 2.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But as the 90s progressed, the former teen idol's career stalled big time.
I would like to call to the stand Franklin Delano Bluth.
Getting cast in the acclaimed sitcom Arrested Development in the 21st century changed all that. Bateman demonstrated that his talent had very definitely matured, and he capitalized on the critical attention the show received by going on to garner laughs in huge comedies like Horrible Bosses and lending his voice to Nick Wilde in 2016's Zootopia.
Hey, carrots, you're gonna wake the baby. I gotta get to work.
This is important, sir.
He's also given his fair share of solid dramatic performances, like his work on the Netflix series Ozark. Number 14, John Travolta. Quentin Tarantino sure knows how to revive careers, or start them. John Travolta was a huge star in the 1970s, with the likes of Grease and Saturday Night Fever bringing him both acclaim and popularity. But the 80s were a tough time for the actor, and while Look Who's Talking was a big hit in 1989, this was more of an outlier than an example of continued dominance. By 1994, he was regarded as a once cool relic of the 70s.
Man is an endangered species.
But then, he and Tarantino re-established what cool was with Pulp Fiction. The role earned Travolta his second Oscar nomination and put him back on the A-list.
Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go home and have a heart attack.
Number 13, Demi Lovato. With their performances in the camp rock films and the Disney Channel series Sunny with a Chance, Demi Lovato became a teen icon.
You gonna press play?
Oh, right, sorry.
But what few people knew was that they'd been struggling with mental health issues and substance use disorder for years. Following an altercation with a dancer on tour, Lovato went to rehab, and nobody was sure if their career would recover.
Demi walks up onto the plane, and I turned around and Demi had punched her backup dancer in the face.
But they not only returned with new music, they also addressed their struggles publicly, becoming a role model. They've continued to have ups and downs with substance use and mental health over the years, but in speaking frankly about their journey, they've established themselves as an important and hugely influential voice. Number 12, Winona Ryder. In the late 80s and throughout the 90s, Winona Ryder was everywhere you looked.
A woman so lovely and intelligent should not be walking the streets of London without her gentleman.
No, you, sir. Are you acquainted with my husband?
Beetlejuice, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Girl Interrupted are just a handful of the high-profile movies in which she starred. Following a shoplifting arrest in 2001, however, she stopped acting. Rumors of substance use circulated. Seemingly overnight, she went from one of the biggest pop culture icons of her generation to a distant memory.
What'd you do to get this role? You always said you were such a frigid little girl.
It turns out she was clinically depressed at the time, and after taking a few years to focus on her personal life, she slowly returned to work. Ryder started small with indie movies, but they steadily got bigger.
I got off early, and ta-da! Poltergeist.
I thought I wasn't allowed to see it.
I changed my mind.
With her Golden Globe-nominated role in Stranger Things, she solidified her status as a comeback queen. Number 11, Drew Barrymore. When she appeared in E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which held the record for highest-grossing film of all time for 11 years, Drew Barrymore absolutely stole the show.
I taught him how to talk now. He can talk now.
The adorable young actress went on to star in several other films until adolescence, and substance use disorder sidelined her career. In the early 90s, she reminded the world how talented she was when she earned her second Golden Globe nomination for Gun Crazy, and followed that up as Mistress Amy Fisher.
You want me to blow on you too?
That'd make you happy.
New opportunities then opened up for her, with her Scream cameo leading the way.
What do you want?
To
look like?
With hits like The Wedding Singer and Charlie's Angels,
And that's kicking your ass.
Barrymore became a huge star again and followed these up with more roles, as well as her own daytime talk show. Number 10, Ellen DeGeneres.
It's a good job. I like being a comedian. The only bad thing about the job is that I have to fly everywhere I go because you won't come to me. Actually, that's why.
In the 90s, stand-up comedian Ellen DeGeneres tried her hand as the lead in a sitcom and found herself in a big hit.
Look, if you could just tell me if it's going to be a while, I could wait right over there.
Next!
She achieved even greater fame when both she and the character she played came out as gay.
For God's sake, Ellen, tell him you're gay.
But a backlash soon developed, and her popularity faded. In 2003, though, she had a double whammy. She delighted audiences as the voice of Dory in the huge hit Finding Nemo.
I forget things almost instantly. It runs in my family. Well, I mean, at least I think it does.
And simultaneously earned a devoted following as the host of her own talk show.
I'm so pleased and so personally privileged to be able to officially dedicate Stage 1, which forevermore will be now known as the Ellen Stage.
Having hosted the Oscars, served as a cover girl, and contributed to numerous causes, Ellen became a bigger star than ever. However, it is worth noting that in 2020, she came under fire for a, quote, toxic work environment on her show, which subsequently ended. Number 9, Natasha Lyonne. During its heyday, American Pie made huge stars of its ensemble cast.
Don't worry, you'll get her back soon enough.
You think so?
Sure, she likes you.
Soon thereafter, Natasha Lyonne was appearing in everything from Kate and Leopold to Blade Trinity.
We need a new tactic. Like what?
A biological weapon?
However, substance use disorder led to difficulties. In 2005, after a series of legal issues, she was hospitalized with a collapsed lung, a heart infection, and more. Few actors ever come back from such an extreme low. But Lyonne not only got healthy and returned to acting, she has since delivered her best work to date.
You know, I don't believe in dictating the boundaries of a sentient being's existence. For you, it's safety. For me and oatmeal, it's a prison.
She was an absolute scene stealer as Nikki Nichols in Orange is the New Black. But Russian Doll, which she co-created, co-wrote, and stars in, remains the crowning jewel of her comeback to date.
I can't remember the last time I ate, but then other things are just so clear, you know, like they already happened and I'm doing them again. I think I'm dead.
Number 8, Joaquin Phoenix. Only someone with the last name Phoenix can rise from the ashes not once, but twice.
Well, I was just thinking, maybe I could stay with Dad for a while.
In 1989, Joaquin Phoenix, then credited as Leaf, retired from acting, despite his success as a child star. Then in 1995, 2 years after the death of his brother River Phoenix, Joaquin finally returned to the screen. By the early 2000s, he was a massive star.
Ambition. That can be a virtue when it drives us to excel.
The second half of the decade, however, saw his behavior become increasingly erratic, and in 2008, he announced his retirement from acting. Turns out it was all for a mockumentary, I'm Still Here, but the damage he did was real.
Do your past failures bother you?
No.
Do your past failures bother you?
No.
Thankfully, filmmakers recognized his enduring talent, and his post-hiatus career has been defined almost exclusively by critically acclaimed performances and an Oscar. Number 7, Michael Keaton. He was Beetlejuice. He was Batman. But by the early 2000s, he was essentially nowhere to be seen.
Hold on.
Michael Keaton never technically stopped working. It just seemed like no one was offering him big roles anymore. The critics continued to commend his performances, but nothing he did generated much interest at the box office.
How could you lie to me, Maggie?
Dad, I can explain, okay?
Your word used to mean something.
It's like Hollywood didn't know what to do with middle-aged Michael Keaton until he aged into a more believably world-weary age bracket. With 2014's Birdman, a film that was appropriately about an actor looking to make a comeback, he returned with a vengeance.
You know my lines too, huh?
Can we not get hung up on knowing lines?
Yeah.
Can we just work on this, tear it apart?
Right.
The performance earned him an Oscar nomination, and roles in Spotlight, The Founder, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and more soon followed. Number 6, Keanu Reeves. Nothing says my career just got a new lease on life like having your name combined with the term Renaissance.
LAPD! There's a bomb on your bus!
In the 90s, Keanu Reeves proved himself an unlikely action star who, understated acting style aside, is surprisingly versatile. Point Break and Speed made him successful before The Matrix launched him into the stratosphere.
Morpheus is fighting Neo.
Unfortunately, there's only one place to go from there, and the 2000s saw his star dulled by forgettable films. But he always remained likable, relatable, and down to earth, and in the 2010s, he finally started getting the adoration he always deserved. The John Wick franchise, a fourth Matrix movie, his epic role in Always Be My Maybe, the list goes on. Wherever you look, there's Keanu, giving us a reason to smile.
Good seeing you again, John.
Number 5, Mariah Carey. Every year, new artists make their presence known with hugely successful debut albums. But how many artists can you name who can make waves this big with their 10th studio album? The world is quick to get bored with the same old pop stars. By the mid-aughts, Mariah Carey's heyday felt like it was squarely in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm having a good time, so...
Hell no.
With her 2005 album The Emancipation of Mimi, however, she made herself feel relevant, and in a way that would carry her forward for years to come. The beginning of the decade saw the singer-songwriter struggling on all fronts, professionally, personally, financially, and with her health. Glitter could have been the end, but she persevered and pulled off one of the most massive comebacks in music history. Number 4, Britney Spears. One of the biggest pop stars of the late 90s, Britney Spears was unstoppable. In fact, her first single is one of the best-selling tunes of all time. She even dominated the Super Bowl halftime show in 2001. Then, about halfway through the noughties, things started to go awry. When dealing with her mental health, she became fodder for the tabloids.
You have to realize that we're people, and that we just need privacy, and we need our respect, and those are things that you have to have as a human.
She made a small comeback in 2007 with Blackout, but personal issues troubled her until 2008's Womanizer and Circus. By 2012, she had again taken the world by storm, with Forbes naming her the year's highest-paid female musician. Still, she was under a harmful conservatorship. It was terminated in 2021, paving the way for her to live her life on her terms. Number 3, Neil Patrick Harris.
Excuse me. I, Ted Mosby, am a jerk to women.
For many years, most people didn't know the name Neil Patrick Harris. If he popped up on our screens, the only name we thought of was Doogie Howser, the teenage doctor Harris played early in his career.
You're gonna kill him,
Douglas.
and you don't give a crap.
Dr. Hauser, you will behave.
Don't talk to me like you're my father. You're not.
Harris seemed to fade away after the show came to an end. That is, until he appeared in the Harold and Kumar series as a self-aware version of himself.
So I gotta ask you, Neil, did you ever get it on with Wando off the set?
Dude, I humped every piece of ass ever on that show.
Taking that momentum to move on and star in How I Met Your Mother, Harris became the show's breakout star.
You're the one for me.
He's since kept the momentum going with award show hosting gigs, high-profile movie roles, a Netflix series, and his critically acclaimed stage work.
And as anyone in the theater knows, after a grand entrance, the audience is supposed to applaud.
Number 2, Matthew McConaughey. We love the Keanu sauce, but the McConaughey sauce happened first, and was arguably even bigger. Looking back now, it's almost hard to remember what McConaughey's career used to look like.
What if I take you to a restaurant?
Are you going to pretend to own it?
No. All the restaurants I own are in Europe.
For those of you who need a refresher, it was almost exclusively rom-coms. And that's a genre you sadly tend to age out of eventually. By the 2000s, they all just started to blur together. Then, suddenly, McConaughey just stopped saying yes to the rom-coms.
Look at me. What do you see, huh? The goddamn rodeo's what you see.
Laying the groundwork with The Lincoln Lawyer and Mud, McConaughey blew audiences away in 2013 with Dallas Buyers Club, earning himself an Academy Award in the process.
Stop it! No. No! That's a man, there's a 50-50 chance you're gonna kill yourself.
Those are the best thoughts I've had in years.
He followed it up with True Detective and Interstellar, among other notable roles, and in doing so, fundamentally altered and saved his career. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Robert Downey Jr.
Today I'm going to jump up and down for you like nothing what you've ever seen before, but with the vodka means chicken here.
When he started out, Robert Downey Jr. was heralded as one of the best actors of his generation. His Oscar-nominated role in Chaplin and arresting performance in Natural Born Killers demonstrated his impressive range.
You know, we lay low, we jump up, we bob and weave, we get rid of them, we come in, we do opera, we do Donahue. I mean, do you have any idea how huge we could be?
But the actor's publicized substance use problems made him too risky for producers, and his star faded in the 90s.
Drugs land the troubled actor in prison.
Eventually, Downey pulled off a historic comeback in the 2000s, reminding everyone of his versatility and skill with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Zodiac, and more.
And let's bring it up to 2.5. 3, 2, 1.
His performance as Tony Stark and Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has solidified him as an icon of the big screen. That's saying nothing of his Oscar-winning work in Oppenheimer. Needless to say, he is once again regarded as one of the greats.
I can't but agree. My mind rebels at stagnation. Give me problems, give me work. The sooner the better.
Which story did you find the most uplifting? Let us know in the comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.